Hello, I'm Arnold Lowrey. I'd like to show you how to do a painting with a big sky and silhouettes, and it's all about light. So I think the view that I first had when I approached Venice a couple of years ago would completely illustrate this point. It's a view of the Santa Maria della Salute at the entrance to the Grand Canal. The first thing I have to do is to wet the paper. So I'm going to wet the whole paper and get it to expand all together. I'm going to use a bristle brush for this painting. A bristle brush is a wonderful brush for watercolour. It will hold a lot of paint without a lot of water. The first colour I think I'm going to use on this is a little bit of gamboge. And I'm going to paint this in. So I'm going to clean my palette. And I'm going to put a little bit of manganese blue in the top of the sky. I'm going to wring out my brush and I'm going to pick up once, and I'm going to thinking all the time about shapes. We don't want any balls of colour. We want shapes which are always interesting and unpredictable, and then it will grab the eye of your viewer. And now I think we'll have some permanent rose. So I'm going to mix some permanent rose in here. I'm going to wring out my brush. I'm going to pick up once and I'm going to go into this. The thing about a bristle brush is it will hold an awful lot of paint. It's a sort of a scrubbing brush because it's got a split hairs on the ends, and it allowed you to gradate the colour without damaging the paper. Now I think we'll use some cobalt blue. Wring out my brush, pick up once. So it's what you call a half-loaded brush. It's got half the normal amount of water, and it's just the perfect amount of water to allow you to put the colours in one into the other and mingle them in. And all these colours drop down onto one level. As long as you keep the paper wet, you don't lose the luminosity. You only lose the luminosity when you let the paper dry, and then it stacks on top next time. I think we might just try to lift out a little bit of paint in there. And I think we'll put a little bit more colour in, a little bit more cobalt. Even put a little bit of ultramarine in, actually. maybe just a touch of cadmium red. You can pump colour for half an hour doing this and you will not lose luminosity, providing you keep the paper wet. So remember, when it's wet, it's alive, and when it's dry, it's dead, and it stacks. I'll just take a side swipe on this now. The next job is to put in this far side of the Grand Canal with a brush which has got paint with very, very little water. So I'm going to wring all the water out of my brush, and then I'm going to mix a little bit of ultramarine blue with a little bit of permanent rose. I think I'll put a little bit of ultramarine with a little bit of cadmium red, so it's a little bit darker. Making sure the shapes are always interesting. Maybe I'll put a little bit of more red into this, just to break it up a bit. And then I'll get a sponge and just soften that edge. I'll give it a nice bit of distance. Now at this stage, I'm going to let the paper dry, and then I'll put in the Santa Maria della Salute in the foreground on the near side of Grand Canal.